Hi, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. I am so excited. I mean, it's such an honor, obviously, to be with all of you and with this topic that, well, the ones who know me know I'm very passionate about, but I know all of you are very passionate about. So I'm hoping we can bring like a little bit of a different perspective to it. Before I introduce each of you amazing leading ladies, I wanted to just take a minute to introduce myself. My name is Rocío Guerrero. I'm currently the global head of Latin music at Amazon. I've interacted and worked with you, with some of you for sure in my previous life at Warner Music, and prior to that on Spotify, which I was there for 8 years, as you probably know, leading up the Latin music as well. But enough about me. I would like to, give everyone here a little bit of your background, because I think it's so worth to bring up in such a, this panel is called Wonder Women of Latin Music. So I think it's definitely important that everyone knows who you are and what your background is. So we can start with Emily Simonitsch. Hi, Emily.
Okay.
Welcome.
Hi, how are you? Nice to be with all these lovely ladies. Thank you.
Yeah, Emily, born and raised in LA. She's a senior vice president promoting Latin talent for Live Nation US concerts in Southern California. She's also a board member of the Music Forward Foundation, which supports young people from diverse backgrounds as they pursue an opportunity in the field of music with scholarships. Thank you so much for being here. Seriously, it's a real pleasure. So next one is mi amiga Rebecca. I'm very lucky to call her amiga, and she's amazing, as all of you know. She's the CEO and founder of Lionfish Entertainment, artist management and production company operating in the music, film, TV, and digital business. Currently represents Paisana Rosalia, amazing, another amazing woman, right? Lunay and San Pedro. Previously, as a manager, Rebecca worked with Juanes and J Balvin, as you all know as well. But before that, she spent a lot of years, 11, I think, in the touring business. So welcome, Rebecca.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's such an honor to be here with so many women that I really and truly admire and love.
Yay. Rosa, otra paisana. Considered by many the most influential Spanish manager in the Latin scene, Rosa, born in Chile, started her career 40 years ago with Miguel Bosé. Her company, LAMC, has developed the careers of some of Spanish music's most important artists like Mecano, Miguel Bosé, Alejandro Sanz, and currently Rosalén, Cami, and Rafael, among others. Wow, 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 obviously. Thank you so much for being here, Rosa.
Well, it's really a pleasure, and I all know all of you, and it's an honor for me to be here. I'm excited about being here.
Yeah. I'm gonna take a screenshot of this later. Next up, also Paisana, Inma. Hola, Inma. Welcome from Alicante. She's the CCO, co-founder and partner of Altafonte. 25 years industry veteran, she has contributed to the creation of Altafonte, one of the fastest growing independent music companies in Iberia and Latin America. Welcome, Inma. Gracias for being here.
Gracias, Rocío. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
I'm also very honored and excited to be here.
Yes, same. Last but not least, Luana Pagani. Welcome, welcome. Thank you for being here. She's a partner at Soundtrack US. She spent 17 years at Sony Music, most recently as Senior VP of Global Marketing for US Latin and Latin America. In her current role as President of Soundtrack US, she has been key to the development of artists such as Bosé, Zoe, Bronco, Hash, and more recently, Ximena Sariñana. Thank you so much, obviously, for all your contributions, and very excited to have you here as well.
Oh, I'm super happy to be here. And besides, I love and admire all the women in this panel. I've worked mostly with everyone. And we had, apart from working a lot, we have had a very good time. So
it's true.
That's the most important. The most important. Well, as I started up this panel saying, this is like a Wonder Women of music that we're trying to highlight, right? I would like to start about talking about what's your superpower. And what would you like your superpower to be? I would like to hear this from all of you. So it'd be great. I don't know, Emma, if you want to start, you are to my left.
Okay. I think that my superpower is empathy. I think that, that way of putting in the skin of the other, I can feel the other people, and I think that's one of my superpowers, besides to know how to listen, to listening and to be present, to be conscious, listening to the people. And maybe I think that I'm very good communicating. I've been working in communication for so many years, and I know what to say, what the people wants to listen. And I think those are my superpowers.
It shows. Luana, you're next on my screen. I don't know if you'd like to talk about
my
your
superpower. I think it is intuition, and that I pay attention to it. Because, and sometimes you think you have to do something, and then something inside of you says,
yeah,
I don't think you should, it doesn't feel right. And I follow that, and definitely whenever I do something that doesn't feel right, it's really bad. So intuition is one superpower. And the other one probably, I don't know, maybe negotiation skills. Yeah.
Nice. Important. We'll have to talk about that later. Very important. I know another person here who would agree. I'm sure all of you, but it's definitely a very important skill. And I guess that intuition is that gut, right? That's the other way to put it out.
That gut feeling, no? When you think, and then the worst is when you do it anyways, and then you think, but I knew it wasn't right.
Yeah.
You always knew, right?
A little voice. Yeah. Emily, you're next in the screen.
Well, I think that our superpower is there's always the Monday morning quarterback. Like, should I have done that? And I shouldn't have done it. But I think that we as women, and obviously everybody here that I know, is that, we love the challenges. I think having a challenge, I think we do this for a challenge, and we're responsive. And I think that we tend to do more than what's on our plate, right? We want to make sure that we're the hostess. We want to make sure that we're engaging, that we're like a family. I try to treat my artists like a family member, and what's important to them, to brand them, being responsive and being active on we tend, as females, we tend to be responsive and wanting to always be on top of our game. And whenever someone is emailing us, whether it's early in the morning or late at night, we're always making sure that we are covering our bases. And that's one of the things that I think has been my superpower, is just to be actively involved.
That makes a lot of sense. Rebecca, you're next. What's your superpower?
So it's funny, when I read the question, I read it like, what do you want to be your superpower?
That too. It's both. You can talk about what you like.
Listening to you guys talk, I think, definitely I agree with Luana. Like, my intuition is like, oof, it's fire. And the older I get, the better I get at reading it and at making good decisions and like reading people and situations, and I think I'm really good at planning. Like, I'm always like, I think people always say about me that I'm never here. I'm always thinking ahead, like I'm always on to the next thing before I even do this thing, right? But if I could have a superpower, it would be to teleport. If I could eliminate travel from my life and I could just be like, I'm home. Like, I would be my most amazing thing that I would I think I would really get use out of. I would get use out of teleporting a lot.
What a great superpower to have in the music business, isn't it?
I mean, let's say I'm flying right now 400,000 miles a year. So imagine if I could eliminate that and just teleport. But I've asked myself this question, well, what if by teleporting, you lost a day of your life? What if it's okay, you're going to get to teleport, but you're going to live one day less. So whatever, that's probably random, but I think about teleporting often. So
I think it's a great point, Rebecca, especially in this industry. All of the ladies here agree with that. traveling in the music industry is one of the
And
hardest.
like Emily says, it's like you try to be, a good wife, a good family member, a good, partner at work, good, all these different things that we all take our roles very seriously, so I think teleporting would be like huge for women.
Awesome. Thank you. One day. Rosa, to superpower.
My superpower, I don't know. I mean, really, I think I agree with Luana. Intuition is so important in our job. For me, it's been very, very important because I've always led my life with intuition. Besides that, of course, lots of work, lots of passion, work. That has been, I think, my superpowers. And I must say luck, Luck is important, I think, and to have to grab the luck when it comes. I think that would be, but I must say, I don't really like the fact that to be successful for a woman, you have to have superpower, because I think we always, as women, we have to be the best in everything. We have to be the best mothers, the best at home, the best at work, the best. We have to be the best, and I hate it. After 40 years in my profession, I say, why do we have to be so perfect? I go to so many boards of meetings. So a lot of men who really are mediocre, and women, we cannot afford that. We have to always be the best, and I'm very tired of that.
I love that, because there is something about having to prove yourself, this kind of like constantly, and it's interesting to hear it's shared among us who are talking here, because that tells you something. But actually, this takes me a little bit to the next question. We all know it's not easy to make it and be successful in the industry, but I think that goes for men and women, and fine, it's hard to make it in an industry, but you all have done it. So what's your survival skill, mantra, or motivation? What is that thing that keeps you going, Anyone can start. I don't know. Luana, you want to start?
No, I don't hear what the others are saying.
Well, for me, it's easy. I just love my job. I love artists. I love the psychology you have to use with artists. I think I should have studied psychology because it's fascinating.
Totally. Life coach. Yeah.
Exactly. I just love it. It's passion. I mean, that's what keeps me going. I enjoy it very, very much. I mean,
that's
I love watching. I love watching the fans. I mean, we're in a business of entertainment, to make people happy. And so one of my biggest joys is always to be in the arena when a show begins, because I love that embrace that an audience will give to the entertainer who's put that effort in. And I've always tried to be at my shows early to be able to greet the artists when they arrive, or talk to the manager when they arrive, and acknowledge thanks for trusting in us to have the presentation. But just being able to see the reaction of fans, because we make people smile. I mean, we make people laugh. And I think, and what other better business than that? We could be bankers, we can be, but being involved in live entertainment is just such a satisfying opportunity for us. And it is hard. It's hard work, especially when when the shows maybe are not to the potential that you would hope to. There's a right size and a right deal for every artist. But I think being able to watch that moment has been so pleasurable to me.
For sure. That makes a lot of sense.
I think that, knowing like when an artist comes to your office and he's new or she's new and they have new music, and to be able to give them the tools for the people to hear their music and to be successful and communicate and connect, that is so beautiful. It's so passionate.
Satisfying, right?
Yes, it's so much fun, no? And on the other side, there's one mantra is that I never take personally all the downsides of things, no? That is, I think, important as well, no? Otherwise,
that's great. For sure.
Really important, Luana. I completely agree with you with both things you said, no? the excitement of discovering new artists and launching their careers and working, discovering talent. And I think that it's very important for me to be always open to changes, not to be afraid of the changes. And maybe life is continuously putting in front of challenges, and then you have to change and don't to be afraid of change. And also to be very curious, to have that sense of curiosity, because I think that curiosity doesn't kill the cat, it makes it wiser.
Yeah.
No, when you are curious, you are always also be always learning. We have to be always learning new things. It's like a new paradigm in those new times, that we have to be always learning new things, and not only things related specifically with our duties, with our work, but just culture, just be open to books, to literature, to spirituality, to meditation, to art, to enjoy that really nurture, no? Give us, it's like food for our spirits. And then it's also very important to me, and I think that for all of the
That's
ladies
beautiful.
that are here with me.
That's very, very beautiful. I wanted to now move it a little into the La Materia. How do you guys think the panorama have changed for women since you started now? Because you all have been in the industry for a while. And I'd be very curious to hear those differences that you see since you started until now. I don't know, Emily, you want to start?
Oh, okay.
Oh, wow. Look, I think that we still have a long way to go. And I think as Rosa mentioned, we tend to, we have opened doors because we just go and sit at the table, right? You go and you sit on your table and you make room and you tell them then to move over, and you want to be involved, because if you're not involved, you don't know what's going to happen and when you have to fix it later on in the time, right? So I think that that we have to take a lot of deep breaths, and we have to rise to the occasion, and we have to be present, and continue to support a lot of these young women that are coming up in the business and include them. I think be inclusive. I think we have made ourselves inclusive, but we have to continue to bring that next generation to also with us. And I know when I'm in meetings and there's a lot of people, and I see some young people sitting on the sides, I always like say, you need to sit up. You've been invited to the meeting. You need to pull up a chair and sit next to us. Because they always tend to be in the background, like, no, I'll sit back here. I said, no, you're invited, you're included, and you need to. And we've been able to open those doors, but it's pulling a lot of teeth with a lot of confidence and just making that room.
For sure. Rebecca, you want to say something? I know, Luana, you as well.
No, Luana, go ahead. Go ahead.
Me?
Luana, go.
Yeah, you can go, Luana.
I just wanted to say that when I started in this business a couple of years ago, most of the people, of the women, had to be first an assistant, and then made their way up to different positions, and prove a lot, and be super competitive, and not only competitive, super, work a lot. And now I really see a difference, and I don't know if I'm too optimistic, but I think that there are a lot of positions in the entry level that are for that women can access to without starting as an assistant, that are particularly in the digital marketing areas and the PR areas, and I think that is super positive.
Yeah, that's true. So it's changed.
And of course, what Emily said, that it's true that in a sense we set ourselves in the tables, that we've been to, all of us, I'm sure, we've been to so many meetings where there were like 50 men and
yeah,
and now it's different.
All of us
but there is only men.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like, first of all, there, between Luana, Emily, and Rosa, like, I mean, they were such important role models for me. Like, Luana, when I was at the label, she was the only woman in the room. She was the one, and I would see her. I had the pleasure of working with her at Sony, and when I was an assistant, starting, and I remember what a boss she was, and I remember like it inspired me so much. And then with Emily and I were longtime rivals and competitors and friends, and all the time I respected her so much. And before I even started promoting shows, like she ran shit, like she was the boss, and everybody would like, it was just a massive amount of respect. And with Rosa, obviously all my life, she was the most important like female manager that I ever could like look towards and like, have a reference of. And she was, she always had such grace with her power, which I always admired so much. And like, and at the end of the day, there's, and Inma, hopefully we'll get a chance to work together and do amazing things together. I hope so, because you seem like an amazing person. But I think with all of these women, there's a lot of success stories behind them, and it's not just about getting the seat at the table. It's what you do when you have that seat, and it's about having, learning how to like, you're not sitting here if you haven't had a lot of success repeatedly in many different ways. And like, it's not a one-off that you had success with, and I think that like, people have to, there's the altruistic part of working in music, but then there's the business part, and it's like, and if you want to succeed, you have to be a good businesswoman too. And you have to like understand, the finances of it and how you continue to have that seat at the table. Because if you're somebody who, when you take the seat at the table, you make bad decisions and you do irresponsible things and feel, it's not how it goes. It's not just that, it's the discipline that everybody here applies to their job. It's the respect we have for all the partners that we get into business with, that we want to like win with. It's the drive of like, the challenges that we put on ourselves. Emily said, I think that's so true. I think we're all challenge driven, and I think it's like, I think it's a very serious, and all of us have a method of approaching it. But at the end of the day, we all achieve success. And I think that's really how you survive long term, and having that kind of focus. So I think for me, like, there's, between Luana and Emily and Rosa, like they really, really taught me like so many of the things that I needed to be as a woman and to succeed, because there's a lot of women in business that don't necessarily have the same success, right? So It's like, and I think that now there's more, now there's more women, like they've influenced people, then we're influencing Rocio now, you and I, and us, we're doing that. And it's like, the more that we put a light, and the thing that we need to do more of is put a light on women's success stories, because there are a lot of them. And we just don't know them. Like, Inma, I'm so excited to hear your story because you're on this panel, so you have to be a badass. Obviously, you and I out here. So, like, and I think we need to do more of that. Like, who are those other women that have had success stories, and pull them up and shine a light. And like, I myself have called Billboard and said, hey, why aren't you talking about this woman or this artist, even if it's not anything to do with me, just because I want with all of us to have light,
Yeah, I must say that,
and it's not for the ego. It's not for the ego. It's for the influence of other girls that can then think, I can do it too. And that's important, because I think most of us grew up without those references.
Of course, that's what I was gonna say. You touching a very important thing, and it's about having role models, which was a topic as I was gonna touch on later. And I think we had role models, maybe not so many. And I'm just wondering if the girls that are trying to come into the industry now are going to see more role models that what maybe you and I had, Rebecca. You know what I mean? Like, I think the trend is positive. I want to think like Luana.
Yeah, I mean, like this panel is a step forward. Like every time we put a light, because maybe before what Luana was doing or what Emily was doing or Susan Rosenbluth, who was my mentor at AEG, or Rosa, how many times has Billboard done an article on Rosa? Like, she should have been written up 1,000 times. You know what I'm saying? It's right. Like, but because it's important for the reference, ¿me entiendes? I think that like, that's what we're learning to do more, is to speak up. We're learning that, we have power, and we're learning how to use it to help ourselves, grow. And I think that's still a work in progress. And it's going to take more of this and more, more of a lot of things. But we're definitely from where we were when I started. I started 23 years ago, and like when I came into like when Luana was running Sony and stuff. Oh my God, Luana, like what a different world, you know?
I know.
Like, just even from the way that people talk, even the way that the stupid comments that people would make, even like, you know, those kind of things have been really, you know, we're pushing through a lot of that, you know?
Yes.
Yeah. Sorry. No, I wanted to actually ask Rosa specifically, where do you think we made the most progress in these years? And I guess this also goes to everyone. And where have we made the least? We can talk about specific areas of the business as well. Where are the biggest gender gaps? You know, I don't know what you think, Rosa. You've been for so long.
I think we have a long way to go, but we have made a lot of progress in studies. I mean, women are studying. I mean, you see universities, the amount of women which are prepared and studying, we are making a lot of progress there. But I still feel that women do not believe in themselves. I mean, there is a point where women says, no, I can't make it, or well, I won't be able to have kids. And to really believe they can make it, you can have a family and you can raise kids, you know, most of us have, in fact, and it's possible. And I still feel, you know, that women don't really, there is a point where they go back. You know, they start and they study and they're hardworking. There is some point where women, most of them, or a lot of them, too many of them, go backwards, which I think is a pity, because I think it's really, really possible. One good thing is that I think women are supporting women, which I think is good. I mean, I think all of us are really trying to help other women. And I think that's healthy, that's good, and it's still needed. And I think they have to understand that it's possible. It's absolutely possible.
That's,
and I also, if I could just add to that, I think it's really important what Rosa said. I think also, you know, we have to stop apologizing for things, you know, like, oh, I'm sorry this, I'm sorry that, or que pena this, que pena that. Like, you know, when you're talking about money, you know, it's immediately something that women like walk backwards from instead of own. And we have to teach women to embrace those things, and it's not shameful. It's not like, sometimes people are like, well, you know, I don't do it for the money. It's like, well, then what the fuck are we doing it for? I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's like, you know, of course you're paying your rent, you're paying your bills. Like, if this was a hobby, this would be just something different. So I think it's like, we have a tendency to shy away from, you know, wanting to have success in money, you know, and also in, like, you know, talking about power, and that it's not always this evil force. Like, you know, we have to be unapologetic about success.
Yeah, I think
that's what I'm saying.
Rosa kind of mentioned something I wanted to talk about, is like imposter syndrome. It's also something that I think comes along with women as well. Ima, I actually wanted to ask you about that. You feel that's something that also happens, you know, with women and this industry? I know Rosa touched on it, but what are your thoughts?
I didn't know what was the imposter syndrome, and
I had never heard of it.
Oh, really?
And then I said that 70% of the people suffer from that syndrome. No?
Yep.
That means that you don't believe in your real value. And then you think that you have achieved those success just because you are lucky.
Or,
lucky, or because something, you know, you have the lottery, but not because you really deserve it. No? And I don't know. I think that we all have to be really believe in ourselves, and give that power also to all the people who comes, all the girls who are working with us, all the new generation. We have to give them that power, no? That they have believe in themselves and not have that strange syndrome, no? But I think that myself, I suffer from that.
I felt it many times myself.
No, I think that for sure. All the people, many people.
I don't suffer from that.
Me neither.
That's great.
Because Rosa's point, which I think is the most important thing that she said, right? It's like, like you have to believe in yourself. You know, like that's number 1, 2, 3, and 4. Like, and that starts way before you start working. You know, that's your family dynamic, how you grew up, whatever, you know, X, Y, and Z. But you have to believe in yourself. If you don't believe in yourself, it's like you're working against yourself. You know, it's like, I can't even imagine. Like, you have to believe in yourself. And the truth is that everything is possible. Like every single thing is possible. Yeah. So you have to believe it.
And you create your all that happened to you, you create it in your mind. It depends on what you think that you're going to get things, to achieve things, to go there. It's depending of what you think. So it's just so important to have a
mindset, the right mindset.
You have a mindset, exactly.
It all starts here.
Everything
right?
is there.
Well, it's the Jedi mentality.
The Force.
I know I'm obsessed. I know I'm obsessed, but it's a philosophy that's real. Like, I mean,
it is. That's the mantra.
Everybody, you look at Star Wars, like like a guy that's like this big, little Yoda, you know, to a young person, to an older, they can all be Jedis because it's their mind. You know, it's the mind of the Jedi. That's what the power of the Jedi is. It's all in your mind, and that's up to all of us to work that muscle. You know, like and believe in yourself.
Luana,
I think one thing is that we have the power and the responsibility now to have that collaboration, because now we have to ask the artists, like, we need you to collaborate with us. Like, what are you going, it used to be that you bought the show, Rebecca, you bought the show, or I bought the show from an agent or manager, and they just expected you to do everything, like to sell the tickets. And now with digital so important, and the Amazon and the programming, it's like now it's the artist, okay, well, what are you doing with your socials? I mean, how engaging are you going to be with your fans? Because they want to hear from you. They want, during this whole time that we're at, they want to hear you give, iconic artists give their fans some support, that we're going to be okay. We're going to come out of it. But I think it's us, like, really encouraging everybody else, like, we got to collaborate together. It's not just, it's a team effort. Everything's a team effort to be able to have these everyone participate.
Yeah, I think it goes with the question I wanted to do to you, Luana, since you were on the label side for so long as well. How can and should decision makers in the industry better create environments for women to flourish? Because I think there is a responsibility, right? Obviously, we have a responsibility.
Oh, yes, of course, we do have a responsibility.
So what's our responsibility as leaders in the industry, and what can the decision makers do to create an environment?
Well, I think that the most important part, and I was lucky, and I think many of you knew my former boss, who was my boss for a long time at Sony. And I said it one day, I don't think he even realized I was a woman. I think that he just treated me like somebody else, and he was...
This is how it should be.
Exactly. So he was
Frank Welzer,
yeah. I don't think he even realized I was a woman. I mean, if I ever did anything kind of girly to him, he would say, "What's going on with you?" Like,
but let me say this. But you were always a woman. I said you didn't go in there dressed like a man. So we're clear.
No. And that is something that I think it's super important. And thank you for bringing that up, Rebecca, because I think that is so important. I think that women and men are different. We're not the same, fortunately. I mean, otherwise it would be yeah,
we're different.
And I think that it is so important to be a woman in this business and not try to be another man in the business. Like, they are who they are and we are who we are. And I think that is a very important thing. But I also think that, like Frank, for example, or several bosses that I had, they never told me, "Oh, you're hysterical because you have PMS." I mean, I think I would kill the person if he
But I'm sure a lot of women have gone through that, though.
So a lot of people. But just because Frank wasn't like that doesn't mean there wasn't an environment all over the business that was like
absolutely,
that.
Absolutely.
Right. And that's the thing.
It is a typical environment, and I also feel that, and in many instances, if a woman is very strong, she's a neurotic, she's this, that. If a man is very strong, he's really a man.
Powerful. It's just
powerful. Yeah.
So it's funny is the other day somebody said to me, I did a panel for something else or a podcast, and somebody said, they were introducing me, and they're like, esta mujer sí tiene cojones. And I just like, and I thought about it, you know, and I was like, you know, I didn't say anything to her at the moment, but I'm like, that's not right. You know, like we don't have to become, you know, masculine to be a boss, you know? And just like if you're emotional doesn't make you feminine, you know what I mean? It's like, it's just, it's something that I think it's so, these like little nuances that we use in our vocabulary, we don't even realize. Like when they describe a woman that's tough, like, oh no, ella tiene un par de cojones, y tiene un par de huevos. It's like, dude, actually, I don't have any cojones, actually.
And I'm pretty happy I don't.
Yes. And so it's like, I don't know, I want to be
important also.
Want to be able to embrace being feminine and being strong and being a boss and being all the things of being female is. It's like, I unapologetically, that's my whole thing. It's like, I don't want to apologize for anything, you know?
In my thing, you wanted to say something? No.
Yeah, I wanted to say that the environment, no, for women to flourish, it's very important as well to give the tools, of course, no, to flourish, but also not punish the woman who wants to be a mother, because this is really important.
Absolutely.
Not to make her think that they are going to lose the position, or don't feel guilty or afraid for wanting to be a mother, and to help the women who wants to be a mother.
Unapologetically. Yeah. It's like, you know, if you want to be a mom, be a mom. Like, good for you. You know what I'm saying? Come on, get no problem. Like, there shouldn't be any issues with any of
it shouldn't even be
any femininity issues,
right?
Yeah. Choice. I mean, either you're a mother or you're an executive.
Exactly. It shouldn't even be part of the conversation, which takes me, we're running out of time, but do you guys think we are going to have a similar conversation in 10 years? Or is the conversation not even going to happen?
Oh, hopefully not. Hopefully in 10 years, the glass ceiling is going to be like something, you know, like when women couldn't vote. You know, something really from the past.
Yes,
very, very old.
I agree. I think that we are going to continue like doing changes, and many taboos have fall down, and will continue breaking those taboos. And in 10 years, we will be talking about our business and strategies and how to get artists, you know. We will be just talking about our work, not what means to be a woman, in this business. No? For
Absolutely.
Sure. I hope so.
Yeah, I think we all think things have changed so quick in the last few years. I think because also the new distribution channels that came with the streaming did bring a lot of women to the table, and that's also helping, and Rebecca and I talk about this a lot, and that has also helped a lot to bring more women to the equation. And I think in general there is just more representation and more conversation, which is what Rebecca also said before. I think that conversation still has to happen. I have a few questions from the
wait, we need more producers. We need more female producers.
And it's literally
engineers.
My daughter just finished the producer and engineer career.
Hey, fire! Send her my way.
Great.
Actually, the question was about that, Rebecca. You're the mind reader. Remember the visionary? The first question from Lucia from Detroit was, why is it that you do not see more women in studio roles as engineers, producers, or remixers? I
mean, I think it's a question. I think, again, a lot of what we're doing now is like, I think it's just almost like a language, you know, of like, women don't do that. You know, it's like, oh, you don't, you know, that wasn't like an option. Like when I was in school, it wasn't like, oh, maybe I could be a record producer. Like it just didn't, you know, it's just not something that, you know, so we have to change like the way we talk about things, you know, the way that we communicate, and putting a light on those female producers that are crushing it to inspire people to be references, so that there's more, you know, there just has to be, it's going to take a village, you know, but we have to, it goes back to also, I think, to like, you know, having girls believe in themselves. Like being a producer is a leadership role. You know, it's like somebody who stands in front of the artist and goes, no, esto no me gustó, do it again. Yeah. No, this verse, work on it some more. This doesn't work for me. You have to really be confident to be a producer. You know, somebody who, you know, somebody who's not confident just like doesn't, you know what I'm saying, doesn't go one or the other. So I think we have to teach girls really to like, it's
It's an option. It's an option.
Yeah.
They might not like it, or you might like it, but it is an option. And I think you talked about how it's the visibility that you give it. It's like women in tech, in coding. I mean, it's the same.
Yes.
And I think it's about teaching that it is an option, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Telling our kids, no? I mean, I'm telling our kids you can do it, and the people that you know, that their friends, and you know.
Yeah, exactly.
For
Talking
sure.
about it.
I have one more question from Amalfa from Miami. She says, if there are any books you have read that you feel a young woman who is seeking her way in this industry should read for inspiration.
I love, well, there's two books that I have always enjoyed. And Sarah Sandberg has a great book out. She had one before her husband passed away. And she really like opened doors at Facebook because she became pregnant and she would go to these meetings and there would be no place to park. And there would be no the men never knew where the women's restroom were because there was never any woman sitting on the board. And so I think that is something I wish I had read 15 years ago. You know, she has that, and she has options after her husband passed away. You know, everyone should have an option A and an option B, because you shouldn't put yourself in the cubby hole, and you always have to think, if things change, be ready for an option B, because that might be a better role for you to take, you know, walking down the pathway.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Emily, send me that book, the proper names of the book.
Okay.
I would love to read them.
Yeah.
I wanted to just say one more thing, and Inma touched on it a little bit before, but I feel like, you know, there was a question that you sent out, Rocio, I think, about like, what kind of environment do we need for women to flourish? Mm-hmm. And I disagree with that approach on the subject. I think it's like, what tools do women need to flourish in the environment that exists? Because that notion of like this perfect environment or the fairy tale, that's not life, you know? And like, I actually like I resent that I grew up in a generation which like just everything was a fairy tale at the end. You know, the good guy always won, the good girl always won, and nothing in life was like any of those stories, you know? And so I think, you know, we have to really prepare women for those difficult situations, you know? And it's more about like, so when the shit goes down, what are you going to do? You know, and teaching people how to flip power, you know, and like how to survive situations that could be really traumatic, and not let it affect you so much. I think that's more like of a responsibility that we have versus like pretending that we're going to create this like perfect environment, because we don't have the control, and that's not life, you know. If only, coño, if I could get rid of all the assholes in my life,
our environments, we always meet with a lot of stress, with a lot of problems, with a lot of, you know, things that we have been coping every day with problems. It's not a fairy tale at all.
Exactly.
Well,
So I think that's
ask the question.
It's
And
like,
you have to be able to ask the question. I mean, I've always taught that it's okay, you know, to be able to ask your bosses if you want something. You know, no one's going to give it to you, right? No one's just going to hand it to you. You know, you'll see them, you know, you'll see men achieve different aspects of their life. But I think, and I have two sons, and I've always told them the same thing, that you need to ask for yourself. You need to go in and ask for yourself, but do it at a time when you're not embarrassing a coach or embarrassing an administrator. Do it on your time and try to do it outside of their realm, like invite them for a coffee or invite them for something to drink. But I think, you know, it's easy. I always have the belief it's okay if someone tells me no, but just, I want to know why. I want to know why you're working with us, why you're not working with us, and what we can do better, right? And, you know, knocking on doors, because sometimes you just don't have the answer. You know, I have another coworker that always says, you know, I'm not going to interpret why someone's calling me. Let them someone call me, and everybody starts figuring out, oh, they're probably calling you about this, or they're probably calling you about this, or you need to renegotiate this. They go, well, don't analyze it until you really know what the question is. Instead of worrying about what someone's going to ask you, you just need to like sit back and get the question. And it's okay if someone says no, because you learn from that. You learn that there's other options, and you just, you know, that helps you be stronger in other areas.
Sure.
To Rebecca's point, I think that we also do have a responsibility as leaders, to say it somehow.
Yeah, that was the question. It was more like, what can people in leading positions can do to make a better environment for women, like hiring more women or hiring more
and mentoring them too, and you know,
mentoring's huge.
yeah.
Yes, and teaching them what you know, and listening to them, because sometimes you know you think you know, but they may know better. You know,
but let's say what I'm saying goes even further. It's like, let's say, so I obviously hire a lot of women, and I support, you know, women artists and everything, female artists, and so Cayetana is like my right hand. So she runs day to day on Rosalia, and like, so she has a safe environment with me where I mentor her and everything. But then she goes on the road with Rose, you know, and then that's a whole other thing. You know, now I can't control that environment.
Yeah,
you know, I don't know what she's gonna face when she's at a show, you know, in Mexico or in Argentina or in Germany or what. I don't know what's gonna, you know. So I can only help prepare her for those difficult situations where you're the only woman in the room and there's money on the table, and it's like, oh, you know, Rosa, you've been there. You know, Luana, you've been there. Emily, you've been there. You've been in those shows when it's like, you know, there's those settlements and they get tough, and like, you know, we've all been on the, you know, when there's money on the table, it's it's anybody's game. You know, and I think that there's no women or men. It's like when you put money on the table, it's like nobody cares if you're a woman that's putting money on the table. They just see the money, you see the bag of money. And so I think it's like those different things. I think we have to prepare, like, ourselves as we mentor women, as we help, you know. And it's not just women, it's men too. You know, it's young guys, everybody. You know, and I have a lot of men. I want to say this: I have a lot of men in my career that have helped me so much. Thank God. You know,
me too.
So not all males. You know, like, I'm grateful. And I don't ever want people to be afraid to work with men. I just think you should have to work with conflict. You have to learn how to work with whether it's whoever the difficult person is on the other side of the conflict. I'm
going to change gears a little bit because we do have a lot of artists that are going to listen to this. Rebecca, please. We love listening.
There I go again, apologizing.
There you go. No, it's amazing. We love to hear you talk. That's why you're here. It's amazing when you speak. No, but there are a lot of artists that are actually watching this, and you know, that are part of the LAMC. There's always the question, and this could go forever. We would need 2 hours to talk about this. Rebecca and I are very passionate about this too, and I know we could talk forever. But why are there still more male than female artists on top of the charts today? And it's a completely different topic, but I would like us to touch a little bit on this because I think it's important for the audience to hear.
It's not only on top of the charts, it's in general, there is least women artists. 3 years ago, I was the president of the Independent Association of Labels in Spain, and I received the list of all the artists that just apply for the awards in the music industry in Spain, and it was only 15% of women related with men, and that makes me, you know, like why? But why there is so little amount of women trying to get an award in the.
So that's even applying.
Not even.
It's not even like. Yeah, that's super.
It's not only in the Latin world, also in the not in the Latin world is bigger.
It's a bigger gap. Is that because there are more women on top of the charts on the Anglo world? Rosa, I would like to hear what you think because you represent women artists.
You're touching a subject that it's been my one of my goals in life, because I had for 20 years such an important artist in Spain called Malou, and it cost
I love Malou.
So much to get her respected, because I think there's a problem in general, and especially media, do not respect women singers, composers. It's amazing, but I think it's changing. I really think it's changing, at least in the Spanish, in the Latin world, and in the Spanish world. I'm very optimistic because it has changed. Before it was nobody. I mean, unless you were a singer from a band like Mecano or La Oreja de Van Gogh, you could not make it. I mean, they would not respect you. And now you have also composers like Rosalén, you have huge, big stars like Rosalia. I mean, she's really made it, and she's amazing, and she's worldwide, which is fabulous. I think it's changing. I want to be optimistic.
Slowly, but it is.
Yeah,
Slowly,
and I think the media, in this case, I think medias have had a lot of
saying
prejudice against women. I mean, you know, which that's what I felt, that there was a lot of prejudice against the women, even record companies, you know. And now I'm optimist. I think it's changing. And I think Rosalia is fabulous to really make a point that, you know, you can make it worldwide and do what you want to do, and you can make it.
Be who you are, yes.
Alia is making really a point and is giving a lot of power to all the women who wants to be an artist in the world. She's really
Role model.
It's a role model, absolutely. But historically, women were the rock and roll. You know, were all guys, and the women were groupies.
Yeah.
So, you know, and then that have changed just little by little. No,
it's changing. Yeah.
I feel like for me, like, I think, you know, first of all, I have the fortune of working with, I think, you know, one of the most incredible female artists of all time. You know, she's something else. But I think generally speaking, like, women, you know, I would like us to challenge ourselves. I think there's a lack of songwriters, you know. I think a lot of men are writing women's songs, and I think that ultimately leaves a disconnect, you know. You know, you look at Bad Bunny's success, and it's like, you look at his credits, he wrote all his songs, you know, it's all him. You know, like Rosalia, she writes it's all her. And I think, you know, female artists, you know, need to find their point of view. You know, they need to know exactly who they're. They can't just be in it to be famous. You know, they can't just be in it because it's cute. Yeah. You know, they can't just be a passive person in the musical process where they're just receiving songs from people and singing and interpreting songs. You know, unless you have a transcendent voice. That's not
but
gonna.
Men can do that though sometimes.
I'm not talking about. I'm just saying we need more women who do this. So it cannot be that on the charts that there's only, of those 15% of the women, how many of them were the songwriter? Yeah, I mean that to me is a bigger issue. It's like, we need our voice in music, you know, and until we learn to be confident, going back to that seed of, we have to believe in ourselves, being confident. Yes, we can write. Yes, we can produce. Yes, we can engineer. You know, yes, we have a point of view. Yes, we have something to say.
We can be ourselves. They must be themselves. Each they have to give their personality.
Product, it's so hard.
It's just afraid to show.
I think music has to have a soul, you know, to really connect. And you look at, like, you know, today I was like talking to somebody else about, like, Celia Cruz, like, oh my God, like, she would talk about breaking every rule and every norm and every genre and everything. And she was Black, she was woman, she was in the hardest genre in the world, was salsa in the 70s. There was nothing more rock and roll than that shit. And she was a boss, you know, and like, how did she do it? You know, Gloria Estefan, like, only today, the only writer that I know that's written hits in English and in Spanish. I don't know anybody else who's had #1s in English and Spanish, penned by them. Right. That's incredible. Like, we need more to, you know, I feel like as an industry, we also have to support those women when they come, you know, because when I was trying to sign Rosalia, you know, a lot of people in a lot of music business were like, no, eso está muy raro. That's very strange. And it's going to be very expensive. And so, no, we're passing. We pass. And I got the help from YouTube, who helped us finance those videos. And then they came back and they're like, oh, okay, it's really cool. But, you know, we don't take enough look at these women who are different. Like, we shun that, you know, in this business. It's like, it's not on trend. How's that going to chart? Is that going to get into Baila Reggaeton? You know, are we going to be able to deliver #1 at radio with this? Whereas with Rosalia, like, that's never even crossed anybody's mind. Like, it's like, do the best thing you can do. And then that's the rest of it's up to us to figure out how the world finds out about it, you know? So I think as an industry, we need to start noticing those artists that are creators, that are writers, that have a real clear point of view. And I think that's when you're going to start to see las mujeres disparar, you know? That's what I think.
I agree. Well, we all agree, no?
Yeah, of course.
Well, that's too sad, because I feel like we could be talking for 20 more hours. We need like a 20-hour.
Sure.
I know.
24-hour podcast. 24-hour podcast.
Oh yes. That'd be. You know, that sounds like a good idea to me. I don't know you, but no, we're unfortunately done. But thank you so much. I thought it was amazing. I feel again like bittersweet, because I feel I left so many questions in there, but at least it's something to you know, put a little light on something that can trigger more conversations, right? So
Yes.
I really, really appreciate all of you. It was such a pleasure. Thank you so much, and I hope to see you
Likewise.
soon in person.
Sí.
Yay.
Sí.
Thank you. Thank you so
Thank
much.
Los
you.
quiero.
Thank you. Un besito a
Thank you.
todas. Bye.
Chao.
Gracias.
Gracias.
Bye. Bye. Bye.